Hello everyone, so my name is Kevin Cunningham. I'm part of the Teaching and Learning Office here in ATU Galway. I'm primarily like a learning technologist, but I've just included there also teaching and learning specialist. And that's just based on my previous kind of studies as part of my doctorate, where I looked at how to enhance student engagement. So my presentation here is about Ally and kind of focusing on can that help with our UDL practices in ATU. So, you know, the concept of engagement and stuff, linking it to UDL, multiple means of engagement and so on, which lots of people have mentioned already today. But I am going to specifically talk about the technology itself, some of the data around it, its usage and so on. So let's have a quick look at that and then look at the kind of staff feedback, plus also the students' perspective of what they have felt about Ally so far. So what is Ally? It's a collection of plugins for Moodle or VLE. They just run in the background and, you know, do all the stuff that we want it to do basically. It's capable of converting files, so file activities that are uploaded to Moodle. It can provide that one file and set up to 7 other alternative formats. So it could be audio, Beeline, Braille, and different things like that. So, you know, from an accessibility point of view, given multiple means of engagement and choice to the students, that's what Ally is capable of, which are with the files on any course. So it provides the instructor with guidance on how to enhance the file's accessibility based on a scoring system, and the scoring system is only viewable to the instructor themselves. The students don't see that, they only see that small A symbol beside a file on a course. So an overview of when this happened. I suppose we were GMIT when this happened, and all the it was introduced in January 2022, just at the beginning, and then obviously the semester would have started a little later in January. So students and staff were both first introduced to it via email, which both included a guide specific for the students and one was specific for staff. In addition to that though, a training session was also scheduled and delivered by myself in late January for staff, and that was to kind of, I suppose, and show the staff here in the ATU how to use it basically, where accessibility scores might be a bit lower. There's also guides provided and an overview, and the recorded session was provided for staff if they couldn't attend the live session. So that's just a bit of an overview of its introduction here. So currently, our overall accessibility score for the entire Moodle site, which, just to be specific, it's only like the former GMIT courses this includes. So I have ATU there, but just to be specific, it's like Galway-Mayo, the Cunningham ATU campuses and so on, because that's when it was introduced. And in the future, we'll all join this kind of stuff up together. But currently, it's 77%, which is actually quite high. And that's as of the end of April. It was lower at the start, but people have improved scores, and by something over 5%, which if you actually think about it, considering how many courses are on Moodle, that's quite a decent return for the initial kind of, I don't know, 4 or 5 months we've had it. I think that's quite good, and we can really probably only do better as we go forward, as people get more used to just adapting their own files as we go. So just in general, to highlight a couple of things, the total number of downloads, so this is students really downloading. Now, of course, teachers may download as well, so I might come into this a little bit, but there has been over 5,000 downloads, as you can see with the top bar in that graph. It also tells us, though, that the window for choosing which alternative format you want to choose has been launched 11,000 times, so that's just another little bit of data. So 715 of the courses out of over 2,900 have students who have downloaded an alternative format. That's what that means. The number of unique users, so as in different users, is over 1,100. And just in terms of people launching it and downloading it, so those two figures there, that that gives a conversion rate there of 44.98, so roughly 45% really. So between people launching the window and actually physically then going and downloading an alternative format. Just a note there, this data is as of the 22nd of April, so these numbers can rise. The distribution was of those 5,000 is broken down into the different formats that it's possible to download in, and I suppose HTML and PDF are quite popular ones there. So students did note that they like to download a PDF format of PowerPoints a lot of the time and different stuff like that because they don't have access to Microsoft. And so it just depends on the student themselves what they might prefer to use. And there's a couple of other ones that are also pretty popular, but not as popular as those top two with over 2,000 downloads. Also, in terms of the data that's available, is from the instructor point of view. Excuse me. So for people who actually launched the course accessibility report, now the course accessibility report is specifically about the whole course, not individual files. That's only 36 times. In terms of fixes, that's actually people who see an accessibility score, make a change to the document and improve the score. That's a total of 49. And the number of times the instructor feedback window has been launched is over 800, nearly 900. And that's when you see the accessibility score, you click on it and see actually, well, where are the issues? It lists what the issues are and what can be possibly done to improve that score. That's been launched over 800 times. So I wouldn't, like, the number of times it's launched and the number of fixes is quite low, but when you think about it, the overall starting score was quite high. So, there's a bit of, reason why that figure is that. So, like I said, total fixes 49. Total number of modules with fixes is 23, and that's just a 5.54% increase or conversion rate. But again, like I said, because of generally the overall high score, that's not necessarily concerning to me. But as we go forward, is just to continue that kind of process of working on files. Feedback was collected from staff and students separately via survey. I sent out a Microsoft Forms link for a survey. Staff were just asked about things like, more personal. The data is there in the background about usage and so on, so I wasn't going to ask those kind of questions, just what's people's opinions, did they find it beneficial, ratings and so on. And likewise with the students, because you kind of want to have that perspective to put the figures with some qualitative and kind of triangulate that kind of stuff. So there was 39 staff who responded, and there was a good number of students who also responded in the end. It was 185, so that was good to get. And just to kind of summarize the feedback, so from the staff point of view, those who have used it, they do think that it is accurate, and they would, as a result, then rate it as beneficial and a positive thing to have. Those who didn't like it or maybe rated it poorly, they may not have engaged with it much, and the reasons for that, time, workload, they were predominantly the main factors, and that's totally understandable. Something I even highlighted, I suppose, in the training sessions, which we've only really had one so far, but even in that training session, I said it's a process. This is not to if you have a bad accessibility score, it'd be great if you can fix it straight away, but maybe it's going to take time because there's a lot of there's a heavy workload on a lot of staff, so that's just important to note. So some additional training and awareness would be beneficial for staff's ability to utilize it efficiently. Really, it'd be a big thing there for me, because obviously because of that time and workload kind of aspect, where you don't want them spending hours and hours doing it, but if they can fix easy fixes or easy issues that are occurring in the document, then that could increase their accessibility score quite a lot, and that benefits the student obviously in terms of accessing those different formats. From the student's perspective, the awareness was pretty low. It was only 28% of students who responded said they were aware of it prior to completing the survey. And those who were aware of it because of, let's say, the emails that I've sent out or through lecturers. So I think a bit of both there, that if staff are more, let's say, in tune with it and suggest to students to use it, but obviously they need to be familiar with it themselves, that might push the awareness of using Ally a bit more, and then downloads and all that kind of stuff might be increased. And then a little bit more of awareness about, from the student's perspective, why it can be beneficial for them. So that's another thing that, again, could be done from the student's perspective. So yeah, just the last point there, at the very least, if awareness is enhanced, the students can then choose if they want to engage with Ally or not, and that it is very much a choice, because it's just giving them the ability to access content in different formats. So, an overview of Ally to date, benefits or positives of Ally. There is a high accessibility score. I would expect that just to rise. And of course, that figure also includes things like sandboxes and all these different kind of modules which may not be actually front-facing in terms of students. So, but still, I think it can overall it will just improve going forward. There has been over 5,000 downloads, so that's over 5,000 times that people have accessed content in a format they wanted to. And then there's the instructor feedback window, which I think is very useful for staff. It can be good at highlighting the issues that documents may be presenting in terms of accessibility. And overall, Ally does give a choice of how to interact with content. So while it's maybe very specific to just the file activity itself, so whether it's a PDF or a Word or PowerPoint that you put up on Moodle, it does then multiply that in terms of the different formats that a student can choose to interact with it, or download, basically. Some of the issues maybe to address, one thing would be training, target the kind of frequent or common issues which have been met to date, or some kind of issues staff would have highlighted in the survey. So that's something that can be addressed with some more training and even guides and so on. And other things would be to address the time and workload issue for Ally. So for the issues that are common, making sure that it's quick, and not necessarily quick, just at least if it's efficient for staff to be able to go in and make fixes to those. And finally, is to create more awareness. So things maybe like through the student union, whether it's social media or something along those lines, in addition to maybe emails or even directly with staff. I think that one would be quite useful, like staff through their course which they're delivering, encourage students to utilize Ally if they want to, obviously, because like I said, a choice. So overall, just to say that Ally is very capable of enhancing the accessibility of files. I'm very specific about that because obviously it is specific to that. So the files on Moodle, so that could be a key part of enhancing or creating a better UDL environment here in ATU. So that's the end of the presentation, and look, if there's any questions later on, I'd be happy to address them either in the chat or via the microphone, whatever it might be. So thank you.